Whether you say flan or flan, these are flantastic. Hey, Chef Des coming at you from my kitchen again, Corporate Chef of BC Egg. Today we're gonna make pumpkin flans. Flan, whatever you wanna say is totally fine, but these are amazing. What I want you to think of is pumpkin pie in a creme caramel format. Pretty much what it is, and what a great thing to serve during the autumn months. We're gonna start off by making the caramel part of it. Okay, so we have a frying pan with 2/3 a cup of white sugar. To that, we're gonna add 1/3 of a cup of water, and that's really gonna help the sugar dissolve, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Let's take this over to the stovetop. All right, we're gonna turn this on medium-low heat. And you just wanna let this sit here over medium-low heat. Don't stir it, don't disturb it, and you're gonna see it bubbling, you're gonna see the sugar dissolve, and the only time you're gonna move it is when you start to see the sugar go a little bit brown, okay? Then we're going to swirl it in the pan until it gets to a very dark brown before we put in the ramekins, but I'll show you that part. So that sugar is going to take approximately 15 minutes, but it's more of a visual. In the meantime, what we want to do is prepare our ramekins. So I have 4 1-cup size ramekins that we're just going to coat with butter. I just use my fingers, it's a little easier. And as long as they're thoroughly coated on the bottom, up the sides. And you want to place your ramekins in a baking pan that can hold all 4. And what we're going to be doing is putting some hot water in between the ramekins to help them cook evenly. Okay, there's the last one. We're just going to set that aside. Then we're going to take 1.5 cups of whipping cream, and we're going to put that in a small pot. And I'm just going to put that on the stovetop, medium-high heat, but you want to keep an eye on it. You're just going to heat it just until you see a little bit of bubbling around the edges. We don't want this to be boiling, okay? Let's have a look at our sugar. Again, we're not disturbing it at all. We don't want to create any crystallization, so it's doing fine. It's starting to dissolve. And again, we're not going to touch that until you start to see it go brown. Then we're going to take a mixing bowl. I'm using one with a spout, so that when we're done the custard, it's very easy to pour in the ramekins at that point. We want to start off with 5 large BC eggs. Always remember, every single large BC egg has 14 key nutrients, all 9 essential amino acids, over 6 grams of the highest quality protein you can get, and 1 large egg, it's only 80 calories. So let's take these 5 large eggs, and we'll put them in our mixing bowl. And to those 5 large eggs, we're going to add 1 cup of pumpkin puree. This is not pumpkin pie filling, folks. Please don't make that mistake. This is just pure pumpkin. 1/2 cup of white sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. This is where the magic happens. Pumpkin pie spices. So we have 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. And then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we're just going to take a whisk and blend all that together. The eggs play a very important role to make sure this sets properly. All right, we'll just set that aside for now. Okay, we're at a point now where you can just see it's just starting to go a little bit amber. We want it to go brown before we start swirling in the pan. So it's going to happen fairly quickly. And again, this whole process takes about 15 minutes in total. Okay, you see this now? See how it's starting to turn brown? This is our signal now to start swirling it in the pan. I'm still going to keep it over the heat, but this is going to help it brown evenly. And you want to get this really dark brown, but not burnt. That's the trick in making this, is that you really have to pay attention. If you get to the point of it being black and burnt, obviously it's not going to taste very good. But you don't want to take it off the heat too soon, because then you're not going to have that nice, dark, rich, caramelized flavor either. So it's a real balance to get it as dark as you can without burning it. I'm just going to put it back on the heat now a little bit more, and I'll show you exactly what it should look like. Once you're there, you got to hurry up and get it to those ramekins as fast as possible. Otherwise, it could burn in the pan just with the residual heat of the pan. And obviously we don't want that to happen. Look at how nice and dark brown it's going now. Okay, let's move over to the ramekins right now. So you're going to pour an equal amount into each one. So I just pour a little bit first to cover the bottom. Be careful not to touch that sugar. That's extremely hot and it's going to stick to your skin and you get like a 3rd degree burn. So please be very careful. But this adds such a complex flavor to this dish. And it's classic in any creme caramel if you were making that dessert to do this step. And I'm using obviously a silicone spatula so it doesn't burn. All right, perfect. Okay, so we're just looking for the little bit of bubbling around the edge there. We want this to be hot, but we don't want it to be at a full boil. So I'm gonna take it off the heat now. I also have a kettle of water boiling here so we can fill our bain-marie in between the ramekins with the boiling water. I'm gonna grab that cream now. So remember, we have the BC eggs in here in this mixture. We want to add this cream very slowly. We don't want the eggs to curdle. We don't want little scrambled egg bits in there because they get overcooked. So very slowly, pour the cream in while whisking until all of it is incorporated. So there's our custard ready to go. We're now going to take this custard and pour it equally into the ramekins. You'll notice that the sugar here has solidified on the bottom. That's going to be totally fine, and you'll see what we'll do when we unmold these. We're going to take our hot water and you're going to pour that in there just until you see the level of the water reach halfway up the sides of the ramekins. And that's going to help them cook a little bit more even. You're going to want to preheat your oven at 325 degrees. I'm going to do mine in the toaster oven because it's just a very small container. So I have my toaster oven preheated. Might be a little bit easier too if you pour the hot water in the container when you're closer to your oven door, but that's okay. We'll just be careful. And you're going to want to cook those for about 55 to 60 minutes, just until you have just a slight jiggle in the center, but they're going to appear to be fully cooked. Once they come out from the oven, you're going to want to take them out of the water bath and place them on a rack and let them cool to room temperature. At that point, you're going to wrap them with plastic wrap and chill them in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours, up to 2 days. At that point, you can take off the plastic wrap and serve them. So what we need to do is we need to get this inverted onto a plate. And how we're going to do that is taking a butter knife and we're going to loosen the edges of the custard all the way around, making sure that it's completely loose. Then we're going to take our plate, put it over top, and then carefully flip it over. Now you may need to help it a little bit, but we want that to come out perfectly. And here it goes. Beautiful. And look at that caramel that's on there that we created. Remember that? I'm just going to get as much of that out as I can. Makes a great decoration on the plate, and what a beautiful contrast and flavor to that creamy texture of the flan. Now comes the best part. I like to taste some of that caramel with my bite. Wow, that is so intense and so creamy at the same time. It literally tastes like a pumpkin pie in a custard. Make sure you're checking out this recipe and a whole bunch of others and great egg tips too at bcegg.com. And this is Chef Des signing out. Where are you getting your protein from?